right, correspondent Libbey Dean is live for us at Fort Bragg with more on what the president had to say. Libbey.
Well, Nicole, the president focusing on two key missions that have happened during the first year of his presidency. That is Operation Absolute Resolve and, of course, Operation Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer being the one in Iran with those B-2 bombers on those 3 nuclear sites in Iran. But the reason that President Trump is here today is Operation Absolute Resolve, which happened a little over a month ago with some of those Delta forces who are homed here, or stationed here rather, at Fort Bragg. And that is where President Trump is headed now next. We've got this loud music happening after these remarks, but once that dies down here, the president, the first lady going behind closed doors to meet with those Delta forces who conducted that raid on Nicolás Maduro's compound a little over a month ago in Venezuela. That's according to a White House official who tells me that's going to happen behind closed doors. But it was very interesting, Nicole, to hear President Trump detail some of that operation raiding Nicolás Maduro's compound that we hadn't heard before. We knew that there was a helicopter, a U.S. helicopter that was hit during this mission, but the president was describing that, and you heard that in that soundbite there when the president was talking about some of those U.S. service members who are stationed here at Fort Bragg who were hurt during this mission. And I remember when we were covering this the day in the morning after this all happened, I had asked the president about those forces and how they were doing, and now we know he's here to thank them and meet with them behind closed doors. But that was the main focus. Also, this interesting thing I wanted to mention that we've heard from President Trump in recent months, this discombobulator, this potential U.S. military operation that included what he's calling a discombobulator. To be honest, we don't know much more than that, but what he said was that because of this so-called discombobulator, Russian equipment didn't work during this mission in Venezuela, and he said, quote, "It's nice when you can fly in and not get shot at, although we did have 3 helicopter pilots who were wounded pretty badly in the legs." Those were details we didn't have up until this point, Nicole, how those U.S. service members were wounded and all of that kind of thing. So this was the first thing on the president's schedule, but as I mentioned, behind closed doors, now they are going to meet with those service members, and some of these service members now are filtering out of the room here, Nicole. But the president took a little bit there to get to Venezuela, also touting the economy, also talking about those battleships and this potential aircraft carrier, this strike group that they're sending a second one to Iran, and that is, of course, with those nuclear talks going on. So 2 big things and 2 big operations that the president wanted to tout here. First, that one in Iran, and then, of course, that one in Venezuela, with the president now going to meet with those Delta forces behind closed doors, Nicole.
All right, Libbey Dean live for us there at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.